I'm late, rushing, and the early morning Portland traffic is dawdling, as traffic is wont to do. A fuzzy mist of almost rain, windshield wipers flapping on intermittent, the gray muting the barely spring landscape as blossoms begin to intimate themselves, promising hints of color after another long, dreary black and white winter. Newscasters enthusiastically bemoan the most recent evidence that humanity continues teetering the brink of insane as I glide into the Office of Immigration and Naturalization Services, a place I've been many times over the years. Green card, fingerprints, application for citizenship, American history test with a dry, young, humorless government official in which I embarrassingly botch the most obvious question. Name 3 countries the US fought in the Second World War. Italy, Japan, Russia? Forgetting Germany, as if that hadn't been cruelly branded into my psyche. Today, I am here to forego my Canadian citizenship and become an American. I do my best to bypass a small crowd of sleepy early morning protesters, stragglers from last night's demonstration, holding signs. Abolish ICE. Families belong together. Where are the babies? This is just after the reports start coming of immigrants, brown children, babies torn from their parents, locked in cages. A devastation that will seep deep into the marrow and sit there cancerous and crazed for the rest of their lives. What makes a person legal? The irony of this day is not lost on me, as some of us are deemed worthy to enter and stay in this country, to name it home, while others, sorry, Charlie, criminals, lock them up. The guard, bored, taking a gulp of his now coagulated Starbucks, looks over my paperwork as I bend to unzip my boots and sail through the metal detector. I'm late, I pant. Don't rush, don't worry, you're gonna be fine. There's a thick crowd pouring out of the chamber into the foyer, here, like me, to become naturalized, unnatural. Like generations before me, I am an immigrant. Sort of. And as of late have been more and more seriously considering refugee as I contemplate my allegiance to this country, watching it turn. This beautiful civilization madly decompensating. Fleeing could be an act of wisdom, survival of the fittest. And yet, this has become my home. Scrolling back in time, in a long ago faraway land, my grandmother is climbing the gangplank. Behind her, an uncle, 2 brothers, and a very tired mother. They are off to a new land, an exodus. Coming over on the cattle boat, her job, age 5, is to proudly carry the little pail of potatoes she's been entrusted with. They have a couple of suitcases, a steamer trunk, and silverware and gold coins sewn into the hems of their garments. 37 days, lost at sea, a roiling chaos of sick and desperate, a hopeless journey infused with tiny glimmers, pinprick stars against that endless black of night. My grandmother would tell these stories year after year during my annual visits back in Toronto, sitting with ice cream sodas and later delicate cut quartz crystal glasses of sherry, cozy in her little den. You should have felt the excitement of that day. I stood at the edge of the world, the only thing holding me back being the railing of that huge ship. I waved and waved and waved at the people left behind as we began sailing out of the port. Some of us were screaming in joy, throwing streamers into the sea. Many were weeping. My mother was just standing there, holding my hand as we watched what would come to be known as the old country fade into a blur of fog and dusk. I couldn't have read her if my life depended on it. It was a girl that was there on her own, maybe a year or 2 older than me, I don't know. Whoever was responsible for her just threw her on at the last minute and ran, trying to save her life, I imagine. Well, I watched it all and I tried to find her later to say hello. I was so concerned. Was a child, you just go along. You don't know what's normal, what to expect. We were going on an adventure as far as I was aware. Oh, apparently I was a bit of a spitfire back in the day. Had a mind of my own and was too curious and independent, especially for a girl, for my nervous, fidgety mother. She would tell the panic story of my getting lost on that boat that first day, wanting to explore and meet everyone right away. Always getting into some kind of mischief. I had a childlike innocence is all. She put my brothers on patrol, following me to make sure I didn't get into any serious trouble. I was a wild horse with a spirit to break, and she finally saddled me down and made me stay put in her tight little corral so she could keep her eye on me. My piss and vinegar soon diluted. Well, life will knock that out of you pretty quick. I was to sit still and behave like a lady, and that was that. The morning we leave Toronto, we get up early to drive to my grandparents' house for goodbyes and photographs. Everyone all sniffly and nervous, hugging too long or excusing themselves to go powder their noses in the other room. I'm wearing my party dress, black patent leather shoes, and holding my little pink doggy purse. This is a formal moment. We're going to be going on an airplane to live in California. Nothing urgent or refugee about this fleeing, though I imagine both of my parents feel some silent relief leaving theirs and the demands of being good, loyal sons and daughters. My father's mother, clingy and histrionic, my mother's mother, sorrowing the deaths of her two sons, my mother's brothers. The grandfathers, distracted by the world at large, mostly behind their newspapers, living the important lives of men, distant and dutiful, barely tolerating these needy women who are bottomless, demanding, insatiable. As we drive away, heading to the airport, I fidget in the back seat, the petticoats of my dress itchy and awkward. I watch my world recede through the back window. Bye-bye. We leave. Snowsuits and icicles and squirrels daring the high wire. We leave the magic of thunderstorms and the northern lights. We leave apricot blossoms out the small side window of my parents' bedroom in spring, and honeysuckle cascading our backyard fence in the summer. We leave the popcorn man coming with his cart past my grandmother's house every afternoon at 3, and the best penny candy selection at Jimmy and Sue's smoke shop down on Bathurst Street. We leave 5-pin bowling and French fries with vinegar, and Judy and Danny Foster, my brothers and my best friends, less than a block away. But most importantly, I realized later, we leave extended family, clan, and what could have been community watching over us, tracking our lives, a place to retreat to when the turmoil of our nuclear family began its roiling upheaval. A simple kind of belonging that never existed for us after that, so far from home. Here's a little more ginger ale for your soda, honey, but not too much. You don't want to spoil your appetite before dinner. At first it was exciting being on that boat, but as we all settled in to all that strangeness and unknown, there was plenty of sores. You know what that means, honey? Misery? Misery. Oh, I haven't told you this story before, have I? Yeah, Graham, but you can tell me again. Oh, everyone's so sick. Can you imagine? There was even someone who died. I watched the whole thing with my very own eyes. Well, there was no protecting the children. They had to throw him overboard. Well, we were all in one room, if you can call it that, not even space enough to properly lie down. Oh, and the smell. I tell my mother, I don't feel well. Make it stop. And ask, when are we going to get there? Is God mad at us? And then, after a while, Mama, Why are you crying again? What I didn't realize was that she was on the verge of what nowadays you call a breakdown due to all the stress and worry and loss. She had to leave her parents and was bereft without her mama. Funny how some people never do grow up. It seemed like there were whole cities crowded into that massive hold. Hungary, Austria, Poland, Lithuania. The borders kept changing. And we took care of each other as best we could, not even speaking the same languages. Another generation fleeing as another army, just following orders, was about to begin destroying whoever had been named enemy this warring go-round. Surus, honey, Surus. That's the rule of war. Those who create the most misery win. I was 5 years old, and it's still clear as day. You're lucky you live in a peaceful world. Not so peaceful, Graham. The world's still in an upheaval. I know, but they're not coming after you. Decades later, I'm on the train coming back to Portland from British Columbia. The seat's assigned. I've chosen one next to the window so I can lean and dream and stare, letting the world go by. Book in my lap, tea in the cup holder. Ahead, hours of rocking rhythm carrying me home. A young Asian woman sits down next to me. Hi. Hi. Those first awkward moments, will we talk? Will we ignore each other? Will there be polite, uncomfortable conversation for a few moments? Then the tension that settles, aware something else should possibly be happening. I have traveled. I know the many nuanced discomforts of seatmates. We both stare out the window as the train pulls out, traversing the hidden industry train yard's border, the pools of polluted water that slip into once pristine streams, home to beaver, raccoon, white-tailed deer, coyote. I watch as a great blue heron casually glides the air, landing on the top branch of a barren tree, the hypnotic click-a-clack lulling us gently. Beautiful, huh? Yeah, I guess. Where are you going to Oregon? I'm going to see my friend, kind of like boyfriend. One of those. Yeah, I'm hoping. I just don't know. We have a long weekend off for Victoria Day. How long have you guys been dating? Well, we're not really dating. My generation doesn't really do that. We kind of hang out. We're just starting to see if we want to, hook up kind of more seriously. Sounds exciting. Yeah, I think I'm more into him than he is to me. I don't want to pressure him. Yeah, you have to figure out how to play your cards and still be in the flow of yourself. Can you talk to him about it? I don't know, maybe. Do you think I should? That's something you have to feel into. Men can be tricky. Yeah, I know. Are you married? Divorced. Now, that was a good thing, really. I mean, we're not even in touch anymore. I hope he's happy, but I'm glad we're not together. Boyfriend? Not really. It gets harder as you get older. Men. Yeah, men. So how's life in Canada? Oh, it's pretty good. I've been here all my life. My parents came over from Hong Kong in the early 90s. British Columbia is full of Asian people now. Your family Chinese? Well, my mother was Chinese and my dad's from Laos. Was? Yeah, she died when I was 3. Well, I'm sorry. It's okay. And then my father married this Caucasian woman. How was that for you? Oh, she's okay, but we were kind of like the Brady Bunch, his kids, her kids, their kids. It was a lot. My dad didn't want us to lose the Chinese bit. Yeah, one culture sometimes more than enough. I know, and everyone wants to know, what are you? Chinese, Japanese, Filipino? They can't read my features, that matters. Where are you from? Toronto originally. My grandparents were from Eastern Europe, Jewish. Not that any of us really practice. It's been more like a cultural thing, food, history, humor, neuroses. They all came over when they were kids. And you like live in Oregon now? Yeah. I miss Canada though. We left when I was little. I think sometimes about moving back. You could. Yeah. It gets harder as you get older. You're not old. Thanks. I am and I'm not. We'll see. Does it feel like the train's slowing down to you? Yeah, they like need to check passports and stuff. I hear my name called twice. Courtleigh, Courtleigh. As I nudge my way through the crowd, excuse me, and up to the front. That's me. I'm here. The clerk starting to spell it out as if I don't know the sound of my own name. C-O-U-R. A friendly guy, Kevin, the master of ceremonies, is up in front, keeping the crowd entertained, Carnival Barker-like. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and join the greatest country on earth. As we move through the motions of filling out our paperwork, turning on our green cards, registering to vote, and waiting for the Honorable Leela Yang Yu to arrive to conduct proceedings. Looking around, I'm one of the few faces that don't appear to really belong in this wide, beautiful tapestry of humanity. White and secure and safer in this country. My home in a fairly good neighborhood. My car pretty much paid for. The language and easy drawl that flows from my tongue. Reading, automatic. Passing as a one who belongs. An entitlement I've taken for granted most of my life. I have lived here many more years than not. A wobbly status, idealizing the country to which I was born. Oh, Canada. Denigrating the destruction and despair this country continually perpetrates. And for me, becoming a citizen isn't something I've saved and prayed and begged and bargained for. I've had my green card since I was a kid. Surrendering it will be what? A reluctant, casual next step. Okay. I'll become an American citizen. U.S. citizen. U.S. citizen for me today. You know what I love best about this country? Hot running water. You turn the tap, you wait maybe half, maybe whole minute, okay. Hot water. Where I come from, no, never. Oh, here I take shower every day. Every day I take, oh, it's so good. It feels so nice for to be. So I am very happy to be in this country. New life, hot water. It's getting a little chilly in here. You want me to bring you your sweater, Graham? Sure, honey, that would be nice. You're such a considerate girl. You know, my father left before I could even walk to make a way for us, as they say. Oh, he knew something was brewing. I didn't even recognize him when we met. Even my mother felt like it was meeting a stranger when we finally arrived. Everyone's so shy and awkward. Well, those weren't love relationships back then, honey. Mark my words. They hardly knew one another when they got married. It was all arranged. Her parents knew his parents, and that was that. She was attractive enough. He had a job. She knew how to cook and clean, and she had good hips for making babies. You need hips for making babies? Yes, dear. I'll explain that to you later. We piled off that boat, a small herd of stinky, exhausted ragamuffins who he now had to support and contend with. Well, apparently life had been much easier for him there before we arrived. He mostly stayed away. I never really got to know him. We did our best to settle in and go about life in the new world, learn the language, figure out the money, where everything was and how to survive. Was life in the new world just as they promised? No way. No land of milk and honey, that's for sure. but better than where we'd been, I guess. They even sent me to school. Well, apparently I was smart as a whip, just like you, honey bunny. You're doing well in school, right? I'm doing okay. Good. Let yourself be smart. Keep at it. Well, a lot of good my education's done me. Now, women have choices. You were born at a good time, and thank goodness, not in a war zone. You know, during the Holocaust, Lithuania, where I was born, had the highest percentage of victims. Of the 220,000 Jews living there, 212,000 were murdered. Neighbor killing neighbor, so those who survived knew who the perpetrators had been. Genocide. You know what that means, honey? Absolute madness. We got out just in time. How we come to this country? One day, after Russia invaded Ukraine, men show at factory of my father. My father spent whole life with his father making this business good. The men, they say to him, we buy your business. We give you 5% what it's worth. My father said, it's not for sale. He would not sell for 5%. The men say, you take the 5 or you'll never see family again. We took the 5. We took the 5 and we run as far, as fast as we can. We get to this country. This country, oh, everyone's so complaining. You have no idea the freedom you have to live in US of A. We're very happy to be here, to become citizen. Thank you so much to US. I have put this off for decades, unlike my mother, my father, my brothers before me, liking my association with a peaceful country and not a military industrial complex, safeguarding my potential escape hatch and my ability to travel without the condemning eye of foreign immigration officers. But with Trump whirling haphazard, grandiose, and dizzy in his power, handing my passport and green card to the officials, I found myself photographed and fingerprinted when I've returned from being out of the country. And imagine a day, the database flagging my various political proclivities, petitions signed, donations sent, when I might hear, ma'am, please follow us, we have some questions, and being escorted into a private room where they not so politely tell me, sorry, we're not letting you back in again. How about we turn up the register and get this place really nice and toasty? Wrap that blanket around you, honey. You don't want to catch a cold. Graham, is Toronto a ghetto? No, honey. Why on earth would you ask that? Everyone's so Jewish here. The men in their heavy overcoats, even in the summer, the boys with those curly Q thingies hanging down from their yarmulkes. Why do they do that, Graham? Tradition, honey, it makes them happy. Weird, so old-fashioned. Everyone has their ways. But why? I thought you were fleeing segregation, the old ways. We were fleeing anti-Semitism, oppression, mayhem. Well, everyone was always scared. We weren't even considered true Lithuanians. Here it feels like the sun is always shining. We have a nice community, a neighborhood. We're more comfortable this way. Birds of a feather, as they say. Yeah, but aren't we all just people, Graham? It's complicated, honey. We're all the same, and yet we're all different. People like to be with people who are like them, who understand them. Like you and me, Graham? Sure, honey. We're 2 peas, right, Graham? That's right, dear. 2 peas in a very nice pod. You know, at the same time, I was on that big boat Somewhere farther out on that wide-bellied ocean, your grandfather, hardly even yet a young man, was coming to the New World. Well, he'd soon find himself selling newspapers at midnight on a street corner in the middle of the freezing downtown Toronto winter, just tugging determinedly at his bootstraps, working his way up to owning the most successful bookstore in the city. Were you in love with Grandpa Hank? Like a crush. I was so young, and he was 10 years older, a man of the world, marrying this innocent little know-nothing pipsqueak of a girl. I didn't even know where babies came from on my wedding night. I thought they just popped out of your belly button when it was time. So you can imagine my shock, both in the going in and the coming out. Ew. But he was handsome enough and had a job and came courting. Flowers and everything. Impressed my mother. Oh, my father didn't mind, just so he'd take me off his hands. So that was that. Has your mother told you about the birds and the bees yet, honey? Yes, Graham. Ew. Because if not, I'm happy to tell you. No, I know everything. Good. It's important to be informed, believe you me. But things are changing, aren't they? Now you kids want to be in love and to enjoy the pleasures of the flesh. Graham, we didn't have time to even think of such things. I didn't even know a woman could like it. All I knew is I wanted a nice house and babies. I had 3 in 4 years. Your Uncle Lionel, your Uncle Marty, and then your mother came, the baby of the crew. She sucked the marrow right out of me. Your grandfather and I never really got along, if you want to know the God's honest truth. Always complaining about my not fulfilling my wifely duties. I had 3 children to raise. They were my duty. That and the house and the cooking. I was always poking and prodding. No Prince Charming there. More like a thief in the night, trying to steal away with anything he could grab. Well, I know it's not nice to say, but if the shoe fits, as you kids say. You were separated for a few years, weren't you, Graham? Oh, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, oh, it was a scandal. Well, no one did that at that time. And you know how people love to gossip. Toronto was like a small town back then. Everyone's nose in someone else's business. Men stray when you don't fulfill their needs. You'll come to understand what I'm talking about. And when you do, keep that in mind and learn to do it well. Yet another woman on the side. I don't think your mother even knows about this. Well, she idolized her father. So let's just keep this between you, me, and the lamppost. Okay, honey? Sure, Graham. I can keep a secret. And Dad's always reminding me, don't upset your mother. The train comes to a whiny, jolted stop in a wooded middle of nowhere. And out of nowhere, a young man in uniform gets on. He starts methodically down the aisle. He's cute. Yeah, kind of like Justin Bieber. You like him? No, he's okay. People think it's weird, but I'm like more into 60s music. Really? Yeah, my parents had the records and played them a lot when I was a kid. I also like, Ella Fitzgerald and Mel Torme. I love jazz. Passports. Oh, hi. Yeah. How are you? Fine. Documents. Just a sec. I rifle through my bag. My new friend has already produced hers. Here you go. Where are you going? Eugene. Reason? To visit a friend? A boyfriend? Yeah, kinda. How long have you known him? What? I can feel the air thickening, can hear my blood rushing my head, my hands starting to tremble. I take him in. Tall, blonde, a specimen with movie star good looks, a soft face, still mostly unshaven. He could be right out of a movie, Victorian elegance with a riding crop SS a la Sophie's Choice. The uniform makes the man, and he's almost there. Perhaps early 20s, taking his role so seriously. We're just like friends. How long? Sorry, what? How long what? How long have you known him? A couple of years, I guess. I don't know. Why? I'll ask the questions. The world is now moving in a surreal slow motion, every molecule poised, focusing in. My heart is pounding and my throat is dry. I know not dare to reach for a sip of tea. I know not even to look, though I want to stare him down and raise my voice. I feel her shoulder nudge into mine, recoiling. I gently lean in, a subtle, I'm here for you. My breathing shallow and strained, my chest constricting. What are you going to do when you're there? Like, visit? Go out for dinner? Do you sleep with him? I have a moment of seizing. The blood of my ancestors echoing the trauma of trains. I have seen this movie 100 times before, the mind beginning its chaotic montage of possibilities, border crossings and checkpoints, interrogation rooms and jail cells, people being dragged away, detained, no phone call, no one in the world even knowing where or how they are. The haunted stories of the disappeared in Chile, Sri Lanka, Syria, Zimbabwe. I know not even to breathe, my eyes down. Don't rock the boat, girlfriend. Stay cool. I feel the warmth of her shaking where her arm is touching mine. Who knows what could happen if I dared the unthinkable and met his eye. He's just a boy, really, young enough to be my son, old enough to be her brother. We're just like friends. Right. Do you have any drugs on you? No. Then why are you shaking? You're like scaring me. You're scaring her. And who are you? Good evening, sir. Going back to Portland. I was in Vancouver for a conference at the university. You two know each other? Yes, we do. You're Canadian, but you live in the States. Yes, sir. How long? Sorry, how long what? How long have you lived here? Most of my life. Why? I'll ask the questions. No. Why? I showed you my green card. I'm legal, always have been. His jaw begins to pulsate as his breathing quickens, and I feel the blood rush to my face like I'm taunting, talking back to my father. How he might give me the back of his hand, impertinent, surly, rude, daring to question the great and powerful. Why have you been living in this country so long and not become a citizen? Because of people like you, I want to shout. Because of your hostility. Because no one is safe in this country, I do not say. And when I cross the border, coming back to Canada, people are warm and call me love and welcome me in. The one time it would have made sense. In my early 20s, I was there standing in a phone booth talking to my parents, excitedly telling them, I'm moving back to Canada. I'd been traveling with a friend. She was going to help me settle and find a job. And my father, on the other end of the line, furious, intimidating, was telling me, no, you idiot. I needed to return. I needed to finish college. I needed to do my life his way, and powerless, defeated, worn down by the dynamic that had me under his thumb all my life. I dutifully returned to the US. You go through the motions of a life, and you get stuck sometimes, and you do what's in front of you, especially when you've been taught over and over again in 100 different ways that what you want doesn't really matter. There's a thick sneer swiped across his face, breathing like an angry bull, steam rising. He stomps his foot, ready to lunge. And I wonder, what happened to this boy? Who beat him down, bullied and berated? What happened that he has chosen this or settled for it? Giving up whatever dreams he might have had to wear his SS uniform and strut the halls of tired trains, puffing his chest and preening his power. intimidating young women who, in another era, he might have shyly approached and invited to dance. He's staring down at me now, waiting for my answer. Why have you been living in this country so long and not become a citizen? Circumstance. Circumstance. That's why. He scoffs, gives me a look, slaps the document back into my hand, and drops hers in her lap. Storming off, satisfied, unsatisfied, his boots echoing the car now, hollow as everything else has stopped to witness this. The air so still, it is as if no one is breathing. We both wait till the doors slam, and he's on to the next car to begin to sink back into our bodies. The assembly room is packed. I'm sitting next to a Vietnamese guy who I chat up as we wait, a pharmacist with Kaiser who, like me, has been here since he was just a boy and has never gone back. He and his sister were boat people coming to America on their own over treacherous seas, his ship invaded by real live pirates. I tell him about his country, having been there years ago, how beautiful and hot and chaotic it is. Unlike here, where we all pretty much stay dutifully, politely between the lines. Kevin, at one point enjoying his own performance, picks up his phone and mock orders for the group. 18 pepperoni pizzas, please. 76 of us leading the big patriotic parade, here from 31 countries. I turn to watch as row after row of us rise, passing the microphone, saying our first names and countries. Alejandro, Mexico. Anita, Ecuador. Angelica, Germany. Yun, China. Marianne, Latvia. Zuhan, Nigeria. Joao, Brazil. Johanna, Canada. Each one come to this promised land, just as we did decades earlier. My father in search of fame and fortune for himself and a better life for his family. California, here we come. Let me show you a picture here, honey. See how handsome your uncles were? And there's Ruthie in the middle, pouting. She was always upset about something. Girls. Your Uncle Lionel, strapping young man, joined the Air Force to fight as soon as he turned 18. All the boys were anxious to sign up. Canada had joined 1 week into the war, not like the US, sissies who waited over 2 full years to get involved. Well, one night, I was helping your mother get ready for a date. You should have seen her. Oh, she had so many beaux when she was young. Such a looker. Your grandfather was already gone by then. He had an apartment over the store. There was a knock on the door. I'll get it, I told her. I always like to check out her young men. And there was a man in uniform standing there holding a telegram. I took one look at him and, oh no, oh no, oh, I collapsed right then and there. Oh, I imagined the whole world heard me wailing. Lino's plane had come down, a faulty engine. The night before he was to receive his wings, making him a real pilot. Oh, oh. He and I hadn't been getting along, and he left for the service, angry with me. I'd sent a letter telling him how proud I was and how much I loved him. No, it was returned to sender a few weeks later. He never, oh dear, I'm sorry to cry. It's okay, Graham. Hand me the tissues, would you, honey? Oh, oh. Well, the rabbi came, of course. Talked your grandfather into coming back home, thinking it would put things right, I guess. Mark my words. There's no point ever in arguing with the rabbi. It was for appearance's sake as much as anything else. We did our best to avoid each other whichever way we could, and had separate bedrooms. Not that it mattered by then. Well, we couldn't just get divorced like people do nowadays. No one did that. Neither of us had the means to deal with our feelings about each other or about Lionel dying. And then, following in his big brother's footsteps, and against my will, I might add, your Uncle Marty joined the service. He got sick with the nephritis. And the whole thing went even further to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, we finally lost your Uncle Marty when you were 3 months old. Now your mother just adored him while she adored both her brothers. And she went into some tight little cocoon after that. So there was no comfort there. Never did want to talk to me about it. She still won't. I think she somehow blames me. You're the only one I can talk to. That's okay, Graham. Does she talk to you? About Marty and Lionel? No. Never? Not really. I mean, I know they existed. She doesn't really talk about much of anything. The energy in the chamber is thick, palpable, anticipation, excitement, sorrow, relief. Leela enters, regal, royal, draped in her black robe. I'd imagined a judge full of scorn and sour-faced seriousness, slamming their gavel, order in the court. I actually feel myself tearing up as she begins to tell her story. Well, I want to welcome you to the United States of America, and perhaps the most important first day of the rest of your life. But before we get to proceedings, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. My father was Korean, my mother from Iran, and I was raised in Alabama and married a Scottish, Irish, Italian, American mutt. Well, we do our best to carry on all our traditions with our children, sometimes much to their dismay. Too many holidays, too many rituals. I tell them someday they'll realize their importance. But for now, I want to implore you, don't lose your uniqueness. Don't blend too far into the melting pot, treading water till your souls and your histories drown. Your backgrounds and your cultures and your ways of life, well, they're precious and what make this country so unique and magnificent. She then rises and invites us to stand. We are to repeat after her the oath, renouncing allegiance to the lands from which we came, pledging to defend the Constitution and bear arms on behalf of this, our new home, swearing to perform service in the armed forces, to fight to the death for the United States of America. So help us God. I make up my own words, mumbling, reluctant, vowing to defend the planet and to serve humanity. While I have killed generations of mosquitoes and have referred to myself at various times as the Saddam Hussein of the ant world, I have never really seen, let alone touched a gun in person, and pray I never will. I hope I look okay for this day. I have waited so many years for this day, to standing in line of over and over for waiting for some food, for a place to go lie down, for a number. Stand in this line, fill out these forms. Don't call us, we'll call you. Phone never be ringing. But today, different, okay. I am happy for to be here. I'm also very tired. You look at us, dirty refugee, dirty, coming into this country, danger, taking, going to do terrorism. Today I put on the Sunday best for to try to look like you. The magazine photos, yeah, so pretty, you all aspire to live up to. I just want a soft place to land. A food for myself and my children, a home, a door you can close at the end of the day and be safe. It's not so big for too much for a human being. These are the things everyone wanting. Yeah. You think, yeah, it's okay for them to suffer like this, that they live this country, this is normal for them. It's never normal. So I am grateful for to be here. I am grateful for to be a citizen now. And when it's time, I will go sit down. Oh my, look how much you look like Ruthie. Such pretty girls. The one to the left of your mother is Marty, but you knew that. You would have adored him. Well, all the girls had a crush on Marty. He was a saint. Did I tell you that both a rabbi and a minister eulogized him after he died? It was the first time a non-Jewish clergy ever entered our synagogue and to speak at the pulpit about my Marty. That's how special your uncle was. He was so sick, and yet the people who came calling always left happier than when they arrived. You know what he used to say? Days of living are worth more than years of life. He lived all the way to the end. It was terrible watching him wasting away. You can't imagine. He tried everything, even Christian Science. A nice Jewish boy. Well, today he'd have a kidney transplant and that would be that. But back then, no such luck. I'm sure he felt burdened. A grown man needing his mother so. It was the honor of my life. I'd washed my hands and washed my hands preparing his food. He couldn't have any salt because of the edema. Swole up like a watermelon. He lived on plain white rice and boiled fruit and never once complained. I gave him 6 weeks to live. I kept him alive almost 10 years. Oh, I had such hopes, and that he would marry and have a normal life. He was in love, you know, with Lily. Well, she was sweet, but a bit coyish. Her father was Jewish, but her mother was German. A real sourpuss, if you ask me. But we let that slide. Lily used to come visit, and I would stand at the foot of the stairs and just revel in the sound of them laughing. They were so happy together. This is what I want for you someday, honey, with a man who comes and stays, like your father's done with your mother, right? He's been loyal to my Ruthie, hasn't he, honey? I guess so. I don't know. You're going to get you a good one. I can feel it. I'm going to concentrate on it for you. Keep him happy, honey. Figure it out better than I did. And enjoy. You've got a body for a reason. Do you have a boyfriend yet? No. Anyone you like? No, I don't think boys really like me. You're a lovely girl, a Shana Punim. You know what that means? I think so. Pretty face. And with a little primping, you could be glamorous. It'll happen. And when it does, va 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 voom,
Graham, seriously, honey, when I think back on all I miss, we're all missing the point in this world. So uptight, as you young folks say. We're here to enjoy life. Well, it's hard enough, believe you me. God didn't make a mistake giving us these bodies. So go for some pleasure. Have fun while you can. It's good for you. You don't want to end up a dried up old prune like you, Graham. You're not a prune. You're cute. Thank you, honey. I try. I use my Jergens and my VO5. A little dabble, do you? Did I show you what your brother gave me, silly boy? What is that? It's a feather boa. Like a boa constrictor? Yes, honey. A soft, sensuous snake. Feel it. Ooh la la, right? Sometimes, when I'm alone, I pretend I'm Mae West and strut around the house. She knew a thing or two about the female persuasion. Well, hello, big boy. Charmed, I'm sure. When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better. Ooh la la. We should get you one of these. You look so elegant. Hello, big boy. Let's put a little lipstick on and get ourselves all dolled up. Say, you want to know a secret? Charmed, I'm sure. My next life, don't tell your mother. I want to come back as a stripper. Da 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 da.
I look around me. Everyone is apparently just fine and dandy, dutifully renouncing their countries, committing to go to war if required on behalf of this, their new home, no matter whom they're obligated to fight. We're then told to put our hands over our hearts to say the Pledge of Allegiance. What do you pledge your allegiance to? A piece of cloth waving in the wind? A president, a king, a prime minister, a Führer? No. You pledge allegiance to the people you love, to your own wise knowing of your heart, to your bloodlines and the earth which has held and sustained you eons, generations. You pledge allegiance to raspberries and seahorses and the swirl on the top of a baby's head, to the laughter of dogs and the graceful dance of music, to shooting stars and water buffalo and great roiling thunderstorms, the perfume of roses. You pledge allegiance to whatever miracle you've named your God, the great mystery that is hovering within, the great harmony of creation, infusing all things. I am taken back to Ms. Hoke's fifth grade class, facing the flag every morning. Spinsterish, immaculately powdered, she wore prim sweater sets, smelled like Love's Baby Soft, and had helmet hair so dippity-dooed, even a strong wind wouldn't make a flutter. My girlfriends and I giggling as we hold our over-the-heart hands at an angled salute, mocking the perfect pointy breasts beneath her armored bra. No softness, no nurture, no grace. And then here's Kevin again with the microphone, and we all join in a bad junior high rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner. No Beyonce, no cheering fans, no one down on one knee, head bowed, fist raised. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Celebrating war, the cruel history that's made America great. So many faces are clearly not from here. The ones with turbans and headscarves and darker skin, the ones with scars and sorrows and exhausted eyes, generations of devastation etched into the deserts of their lineages, the ones who have fled wars and genocide and famine, ethnic cleansing, which sounds so pure and clean and well-intentioned. The nightmare bombs, probably proudly made in the good old US of A. Shithole countries, as Trump has so charmingly proclaimed, that once were part of the garden. People who have most probably already suffered greatly at the hands of those they are now joining as American family, come here with nothing, to start all over, to dream a new dream. Bring me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. It is a time of rejoicing for many, hoots and whoops going out as we are declared US citizens. The Jamaican woman in front of me, in her plastic pearls and faded house dress. The Burmese family, a few seats away, grinning ear to ear, hugging and kissing. The short, round Honduran man behind me, waving in a frantic joy, the little red, white, and blue souvenir stars and stripes we've each received in our welcome packets. The woman, covered head to toe, save for her face and wearied hands. The light long gone out in her, going through the motions of trying to resuscitate some semblance of a life, to find the energy to continue on and simply live. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty.
All these people smiling, crying, waving their flags. Okay. But do you think any of us really want to leave our home? To come to somewhere we don't know no one and start all over with nothing? You look at us and think we're stupid. How many languages have you had to learn just to cope and survive? We pledge the allegiance because we have to, not because it comes from the heart. We want to be made legal, as you say. Then there is one less of the oppressions. It is not that I am not grateful. No, it's just I want to speak truth of it. We are prisoners. I cannot go back to my country. I cannot live here in peace. What to do? Me? I am a lucky one. I can clean your house and make enough to pay rent and make food. But this is all. I just hope I don't get spit on or shot at as I make my way home tonight. Not your American dream. So sorry. Yes, but yeah, okay. I am citizen. I will never be American. Not really, not in my heart, and never in your eyes.
I turn back to my new friend after the doors have slammed and the train begins its gentle lumbering again. The surreal of the moment finally starting to pass. This always happened to you? Yeah, kinda. I'm so sorry. It's okay, you sort of get used to it. You shouldn't have to get used to it, geez. You must be scared at least a little bit all the time. Yeah, I guess it's like a double whammy, well, triple actually. Young, female, Asian. I either get like ignored or harassed pretty much everywhere. And at school, like teachers don't call on me or they forget my name. And the white boys on campus are always hassling Asians. It doesn't matter that you've like lived in Canada your whole life. Just last week, there were 3 guys taunting me as I was walking to the bus stop from class. Hey, Susie Q, me so horny, want some nice white dick? It was late, dark, and I thought I was like going to be raped or something. Suddenly I saw a guy I sort of recognized and I ran up to him and like put my arm around him like he was my boyfriend and whispered like, please just walk with me. I'm being followed. I didn't know. I don't know. Like maybe he would have been even worse than them, you know? You don't know. Thankfully, I made it home safe, but yeah, okay. I'm like scared all the time. I always thought things were better in Canada. You know, maybe a little, it's still not good. The Asian and the Native people get it mostly. Like, I'm never going to be able to erase this face. Oh, you're beautiful. Thanks, I guess. We're all stuck with the face we get, but the crazy thing is, I'm like hoping for a guy to come along who protect me from all the other guys. You know, that kind of needle in a haystack thing. That's been the message, generations and forever. How do you let your guard down when life's taught you to be afraid? Is the guy you're going to see a good one? I think so. I hope so. Oh. You know, the time I was really considering moving back, I've been driving across the Canadian prairie with a woman friend of mine. She looked native. She wasn't, but she looked it, not that it matters. She had similar features, you know, darker skin and long dark hair. She wore this cowboy type hat. It was like her signature piece. She wouldn't take it off, even though it attracted the wrong kind of attention. Her car was older and a little beat up, and we were pulled over, I don't know, maybe 3 times in the middle of nowhere for nothing. The car searched, us questioned. She told me of several times going into a busy restaurant and being told that they were closed. I'd romanticized Canada and thought it was different. There's like racism everywhere. Yeah, every fucking ism. At least I can hide being Jewish. You're lucky for that. Yeah, I guess. Still, I'd be Jewish enough for Hitler. Say, do you drink? Sometimes, kind of. Yeah. I want to go get a beer. My treat. Yeah, sure. Let's go get a drink. I think about the map of the world that hung on the wall of that 5th grade classroom. This is where coffee beans come from, this rice, that sugar. Every country a different shade of pastel, tucked neatly inside precise, well-drawn lines. How the first time I went to Mexico, crossing the border from San Diego to Tijuana, in a moment, everything changed. The colors, the smells, the language, la comida, el agua, la música, the skin of the people, the tidiness or not of sidewalks and crosswalks and ruddy pockmarked roads. How we have taken this fragile blue ball and drawn boundaries, erected checkpoints, set up watchtowers, and decided these people over here, those people there. According to Google, just this last year, over 84 million people around the world were forced to flee their homes. War, global warming, genocide, famine, walking with whatever they can carry, not flying peacefully over the purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plains in their Sunday best with box lunches and comic and coloring books like we did. Graham? Yes, honey, come over here. Let me brush your hair. You know, a woman's hair is her crowning glory. Can I ask you a question? Sure, honey, of course, you can ask me anything. Can I come live with you? Why, honey? No, you have to stay with your parents. They love you. No, they don't. I'm just a problem for them. I'm sure that's not true. It is. I hear them all the time. What are we going to do about that girl? It just wouldn't do. What would people think? I don't care. I'm happy here. You belong with your family. You're my family. I know, but you're still young. You're meant to grow up with your parents. Oh, I hate it there. Dad's always mean and yelling and calling me names. I think he hates me. Oh, I don't know what to say. Your father's a complicated man. Don't tell him I said that, okay? He treats your mother well, I guess. Just try to get along better with him. I'll concentrate on it for you. Say, how about you get yourself a little tidied up and we'll go out for a nice bite. I could get a part-time job to help pay, please, Graham? I can't, honey. Are you mad at me?
No, I'm just sad you're not happy and that you and your father don't get along. Maybe you can come visit more. It's too expensive, 3,000 miles away. I know, honey, I know. Just work on it. You can have a good life there. You can be happy if you try. It's just life, and you can't take anything too personally or you'll lose your mind. Me, I lost my home country. I lost my husband. I lost my two beautiful sons. Then your father took Ruthie and the rest of you all the way to California. Talk about loss. But I figure we all have our stories. And in the end, we all just have to try to figure out how to bloom where we're planted.
There is something about the land to which we are born, an energetic resonance, a sense of cellular harmony. I am fundamentally more American now than I am Canadian, and it's time for me to vote, to muster whatever little power I have to make a tiny dent in a world that already feels so bashed and bruised and tarnished. And apparently, it will be much harder for my survivors, bureaucracy-wise, should I die in this country, not being a citizen. So in part, I'm doing this to make things easier for those who will survive me when the good Lord and his choir of angels decide to call me back home. I nudge my way out of the building when it's time. The sky has opened up and a rare early spring sun is casting down rays of unfamiliar welcomed light. Beautiful Oregon. The crowd outside has grown. Some who've camped out all night, their backpacks and sleeping bags, their only remnants of home. Some, another mother for peace, remember them? Handing out bars and bottles of water. Others, suited and sincere, on breaks from their jobs in these government offices. Someone is playing an out-of-tune guitar and singing Richie Havens' Freedom. It is a kumbaya moment, a flash from the past. How is it we have come so far and no apparent significant distance at all? I sit down on the sidewalk. Above me, the infinite and all its mystery is continuing on, fathomless worlds of galaxies, planets, and stars extending out beyond forever in an exquisite beauty we cannot even begin to comprehend. I'm not quite weeping, but my heart is breaking. I cannot leave this country, just as I cannot leave this planet, because this is where my God has put me. And for now, as much as anywhere, this is my home. Freedom, 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 freedom. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home. A long way from home. Hey. Thank you.